We just seen countless attacks on Caitlin Clark, and I'm not even finna go through the jacket.
Let's talk about Caitlin Clark and the idea of a government probe. Or
what if I told you that a single lawsuit could bring the WNBA to its knees? Not a scandal, not a bad season, but a legal war so big, it could erase everything the league has built. Right now, Caitlin Clark isn't just fighting through elbows and hard fouls on the court. She may be standing at the center of a case that could rewrite the rules of professional sports forever. And it all ties back to a $2.2 million settlement that cracked open the door the league hoped would stay locked forever. Because if Clark's team decides to walk through that same legal door, the WNBA won't just be facing a PR nightmare. It could be staring down the kind of federal lawsuit that changes history. To understand the danger the WNBA is in right now, you have to go back to 2024 when Dearica Hamby shook the sports world. Hamby wasn't just another player with a grievance. She was a two-time All-Star, a respected veteran, and a new mother. Her lawsuit against the Las Vegas Aces alleged pregnancy discrimination, retaliation, and a hostile work environment. At the time, people thought she was up against an unstoppable system, a league that had never been dragged into federal court like this before. But Hamby didn't just win, she won big. $2.2 million big. That payout wasn't just money changing hands. It was a legal earthquake. For the first time, the WNBA was forced to publicly admit, through its checkbook, that it could be held accountable under federal law for how it treats its players. And in the process, Hamby created something far more dangerous than a headline. She created a blueprint. A step-by-step legal roadmap that shows exactly how to turn league inaction, neglect, and discriminatory behavior into a devastating courtroom victory. And now, that roadmap is just sitting there, waiting. From the moment Caitlin Clark stepped onto a WNBA court, the hits started coming. Hard, often, and with disturbing consistency. We're not talking about a rough game here or there. We're talking about a statistical anomaly so glaring, legal experts say it's impossible to ignore. In the 2024 season alone, Clark absorbed 17.1% of all flagrant fouls in the league. Think about that. Nearly 1 in every 6 dangerous plays in an entire season targeted a single player. And the pattern gets even uglier when you zoom in. The Chicago Sky, one roster, responsible for almost 12% of all those flagrant fouls against her. That's not hard basketball. That's a pattern. And in discrimination law, patterns are gold. They turn a string of ugly moments into actionable evidence. In a courtroom, those numbers wouldn't look random. They'd look like intent. Every shove, every blindside hit, every ignored whistle. Each one is another brick in what could become a legal fortress. And the WNBA's own stat sheets, their own record keeping, might be the evidence that brings them down. If the stats weren't bad enough, Caitlin Clark's case has something even more dangerous for the WNBA: eyewitness testimony. Her own teammate, Sophie Cunningham, has gone on record about conversations she heard back when she played for the Phoenix Mercury. These weren't just locker room jokes or vague talk about playing tough. According to Cunningham, there were specific discussions about how to physically target Clark, how to make her fight for every inch of space on the floor. In legal terms, that's not strategy. That's harassment, spoken aloud, in a workplace, by people in the league. And in a discrimination case, this kind of first-hand corroboration is explosive. It bridges the gap between suspicion and provable fact. Add that testimony to the statistical pattern, and suddenly the story looks a lot less like competitive basketball and a lot more like orchestrated targeting. The kind of targeting that can bankrupt a league in court. If you want the full truth about what's really happening behind the scenes in the WNBA, and you want updates as this situation explodes, hit that like button right now. It helps more people see this story, and it tells us you want more deep dives like this. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, because trust me, it gets even more intense from here. Here's where the WNBA's legal nightmare turns from bad to catastrophic. Caitlin Clark isn't just any player. She's a white, heterosexual rookie dominating in a league that is overwhelmingly black and heavily LGBTQ+. That alone isn't an issue until you factor in how the league has allegedly failed to protect her from targeted, repeated, and statistically abnormal levels of dangerous play. If Clark's lawyers can argue and prove that this neglect wasn't just about rookie hazing or physical basketball, but was influenced by her race, her orientation, or her outsider status in the league's dominant culture. Then the case transforms instantly. We're no longer talking about a workplace harassment claim. We're talking about federal civil rights violations. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, the same laws that crushed multi-million-dollar corporations for less. In a jury's eyes, this wouldn't just be about hard fouls. It would be about systemic bias, a league-wide culture that didn't just tolerate Clark being targeted, it allowed it to happen in plain sight. And remember, this is the same league that just paid out millions to De'Erica Hamby for pregnancy discrimination. In legal strategy, prior settlements are like blood in the water. They show the shark, in this case, Clark's legal team, exactly where to bite. The WNBA is not the NBA. It doesn't have billions in reserve to weather a legal war. Right now, the league brings in around $200 million a year in revenue. Sounds like a lot, until you factor in operating costs, player salaries, travel, marketing, and the fact that much of its financial safety net still comes from NBA subsidies and sponsorships. If Caitlin Clark's potential lawsuit mirrors the $2.2 million De'Erica Hamby payout, that's just the beginning. Federal discrimination cases can trigger punitive damages, which can skyrocket into the tens of millions. Add legal fees, PR crisis management, and potential sponsor pullouts, and suddenly you're talking about a hit that could wipe out an entire season's profit. And here's the real danger. One win for Clark could open the floodgates. Other players, past and present, could come forward with their own stories. The league wouldn't just be fighting one case. It could be drowning in a wave of lawsuits. This isn't just about money. It's about credibility. The WNBA has been selling a message of inclusivity, empowerment, and equality for years. If this case blows up, that image shatters overnight, and rebuilding it might be impossible. The question now isn't if Caitlin Clark will take legal action, it's when. And when that day comes, the league will have to decide, settle quietly and admit guilt in the public's eyes, or fight back and risk everything in court. Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA to change the game. She may end up changing the league itself, not with her jump shot, but with a lawsuit that could redefine how athletes are treated in professional sports. Right now, the front offices might be smiling for the cameras, but behind the scenes, every executive in the WNBA knows the truth. If this turns into a full-blown legal battle, the damage won't stop at headlines. It could gut the league's finances, fracture its fan base, and expose an ugly undercurrent they've worked years to keep hidden. Clark hasn't spoken publicly about any legal intentions yet. But in high-stakes sports law, silence isn't peace. Silence is preparation. The Hamby settlement proved the WNBA will pay to keep a scandal quiet. The question is, what happens when the player they're up against is the most famous rookie in the world, with millions of fans, and a legal case that could put the league on trial in the court of public opinion and federal law? When that day comes, the WNBA won't just be fighting Caitlin Clark. They'll be fighting the truth.